I am incredibly honored and excited to preach to you guys this morning. I'm honored because, like David said, my whole Christian adult life, my discipleship started in this church. And so this pulpit, there's been a lot of direction, there's been a lot of life, and there's been a lot of truth poured into me from this stage. And so it is an incredible honor for me to then turn around and do it for you. So I thank God for that, and I'm excited for a couple of reasons. Number one, our pastor is back. Our pastor is back. And so it's exciting for me to preach and give him a chance to just be loved on by y'all. So can we do that this morning? Can we love on him? Can we say, welcome back, Pastor David. We love you at the top of our lungs. Like, mind you got to be as obnoxious as possible and face in that direction. Okay? On the count of three. You got it? 1, 2, 3. Welcome back, Pastor David. We love you. We love you. We love you. And I'm also excited because it's the 4th of July week. It is one of my favorite holidays. I love it. I love it. And we were sitting at, come on, you get to blow things up. Is that cool or what? You use fireworks and blow things up. It's fantastic. And we're sitting at staff this week, and we're trying to think about, well, what can we do to really celebrate this holiday? And I had this great idea. I was like, you know what we need to do? We need to find somebody that can come up and kind of share a testimony about what it means to be, patriotic and love freedom, and just, share a little bit about what that means to them. And Casey's there like, she's got her clipboard. I don't think she had her clipboard, but in my mind, she has her clipboard, and she says, oh, that's good. We've already got that. It's you. And I went, oh. That's not what I meant. But she was right. She's right. I can remember being like 4 or 5 years old, my grandfather's car lot, and he picked me up, and he put me up on top of the hood of this car that he's looking at, and he's just checking out, and he has a stereo blaring, and Lee Greenwood is singing, "Proud to be an American," and my heart is thumping along with it, and the sun is setting, and all of a sudden I identify with this idea that, hey, I'm an American, and that's awesome. Lee Greenwood says that's great, and I agree with him, because he sounds good, right? And then as time has gone by, I've been even, that feeling has continued to grow. It's continued to grow because America is the great Christian experiment. That's what they call it, the great Christian experiment. All of our laws, our Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all of those things came from a Christian perspective, didn't they? They did. The idea that all men are created equal. Everybody's been imbued with certain unalienable rights to the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. It's awesome. That's incredible. I love it. And this is the place where we've kind of eliminated the classes. I mean, they still exist, but it's not like you have your peasants and you have your noblemen and you can't cross that border. No. In America, you can go from lower class, no resources, no influence, no power, and by the end of your life, have all kinds of resources, all kinds of power, and all kinds of influence. And we look at that as Americans, and we say, yes, that's what it means to be an American. Yes, that's awesome. We say the same thing the other way around, though, don't we? Like if I'm the heir to a billionaire estate, and if you see an heir to a billionaire estate, say, sorry, Dad, I'm not meant to do this. I'm meant to come over here and work down in social justice, or I'm here to be a lawyer or a doctor or a nurse. This is what I've been called to do. This is what I'm going to do. And they give it up, and they step down from being upper class to now becoming middle class, and we look at that and we go, yes, that's awesome. That's what it means to be an American. That's great. And it's the same if you don't move. You get the blue-collar worker that's worked at the mill for the past 40 years, steady and steadfast, goes to church every Sunday, teaches his kid how to be steady, lives that solid, wonderful life. And we look at that and we say, yes, that's awesome. That's what it means to be an American. Love it. That's great. But the reason that I went, when Casey said that, the reason I'm sitting there in staff and my heart went, is because right now, I don't know that I want to be an American. In the society we live in, our the social issues that we're facing right now, I don't even turn on Facebook. I don't look at it. I don't look at the news. I try and stay away from it because we're so polarly divided on so many different things, and all I can see around me is a bunch of people trying to enslave one another, and it makes me sick. And I thought to myself, man, if we could just get somebody up here, not me, to recharge my batteries on what it means to be an American, that would be great. That would be great. But Casey was absolutely right. It's up to me. And you know what? It's good to be an American. Do you guys mind if I wade in to some of these social issues without us getting caught up in those social issues? Can we do that? Are you sure? So on April 20th of this year, hundreds of thousands of students, what? They walked out of school, right? What were they doing? They were letting us know that they're sick and tired of school shootings. And you know what? I don't think there's a single person in America that doesn't disagree with them, right? We're sick of it. We're sick of it. Like, no, I don't want that to happen, but how do you stop that from happening? Like, it's been since Cain that we've been killing one another, right? How do you stop that? Well, you make it harder for people with intentions to kill. That's what you do. And so now we've taken an issue and we've made it about something completely different, right? We've made it about guns. And it makes me sick because on one side, you have a whole group of people that they're not arguing to fix an issue. They're mad at this group of people who thinks the exact opposite thing they think, right? We got two different sides, and they're not fighting over the real issue. They're not trying to come to a fix. They're just mad about how that other person thinks. It's just nasty. It reminds me of like my two kids when they fight over a toy. I wish I could just reach in and be like, yeah, you guys can't have this right now. When you two learn how to talk to one another nice, then we can talk about this issue, right? You want to, but we're adults, and we can't do that. God's given us this issue. I think it's good. I think we should be talking about it, but I'm going to use it this morning because I don't have the answer, but I'm going to use it. Is that okay? So what's the deal there? On one side, we have people that would say, hey, let's repeal the Second Amendment. We don't need all these guns. There's less guns in our schools, less chances for people to get hurt, right? On the other side, our people, most of the people I know, are over here saying, you can't take my guns from me. If you take my guns from me, what's gonna keep us from being oppressed by the government and the people around us, right? These are the kinds of things they think. Like, you can't take this from me. The question is, and this is what I want to draw out of this issue, the question is who is right and who is wrong? That's the argument, isn't it? Who's right and who's wrong? Who's right? Who's wrong? And it's right into the middle of this that Jesus speaks. It's right into this issue that Jesus is talking. He's talking about who's right in this passage. He says something so incredible, that the more I study it, the more I realize it's divinely inspired. The more I think about it, the more I realize that, you know what? We wouldn't have come up with that on our own. There's no way humanity, in all of their infinite wisdom, could have come up with this. Yet Jesus says it, and it changes all kinds of things. In John chapter 8, verses 31 and 32, Jesus says, if you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Do you know why this is so alien to us? Do you know why this is so, why that I keep thinking about this and I realize that we can't think like this? It's because that's not what these two people are saying, is it? They're saying, I'm right, shut up and color. And that's me being nice. That's really what they're saying. No, I'm right, do what I say. Be enslaved by what I say do. That's what they're saying to one another, right? That's what they're saying. But Jesus doesn't say that. He says, if you know the truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. Wait a minute. Like, Matt, you're going to have to help me here. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Let me see if I can change it a little bit and make it apply to our present situation. If everyone in a society agreed on right and wrong, that society would be completely free. You hear me? If everyone in a given society agreed on what is right and what is wrong, it would be completely free. If all of us magically woke up tomorrow morning and thought to ourselves, you know what, I don't like guns at all. I hate that. That feeling that it gives you when you pull the trigger and that bullet hits the mark, like I just can't stand it. It's terrible. I hate that. If we all woke up that way, we'd just give up all of our guns. If we were convinced that we didn't need those things in order to be safe, we'd be like, we don't even need the Second Amendment. None of us want to own guns. The same is true on the other side, isn't it? If we all woke up one morning and thought to ourselves, hey, this is not the problem. We like our guns. In fact, our guns help us stay safe. If everyone woke up that way, we wouldn't need the Second Amendment because it would be like saying, hey, we have a right to breathe. It's perfectly normal, right? Okay, Matt, but now that's a complicated issue. I agree. It's a complicated issue. It's muddy waters. And so what is truth? What is truth? What is right and what is wrong? Because that's what they're arguing about. What is right and what is wrong? I love it. Just a few chapters later in the book of John, Jesus says that I am the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus says, I'm the truth. In this passage, Jesus is taking truth and he's elevating it to a position that is far above opinion. We want to take truth, and we don't even want to call it truth. Our culture doesn't want to believe in truth. We want to say, well, that's right and that's wrong. That's what we want to say. Well, that's my opinion, and that's your opinion. That's where we want to take it. And Jesus says, no. I was there at the founding of the earth. This is truth. This is truth. I am truth. I am truth. Well, great, Matt, but that's still kind of hard to hold on to. Like, what do I do with that? I like the Message version of the Bible in this passage. It says, if you stick with this, living out what I tell you, you are my disciples for sure, and then you will experience for yourselves the truth, and the truth will free you. I like that word, experience. You know why? Because we're in the information age, guys. I am famous for telling people at work especially that the other half of my brain is Google. The other half of my brain is Google. I don't have to memorize all kinds of things. I already know it. I just put it in my phone and look it up, and it tells me. I don't have to waste space up here on that information. That's our current culture, right? I love it. I think it's great. But first century culture wasn't like this. See, the word used in there is no. But experience makes a whole lot more sense. Because in that culture, if you were a young man, by the time you were 13 years old, you had most of the Bible, most of the Old Testament memorized. You knew it. It was already there, freely accessible. The reason that you became a disciple, the reason that you found a rabbi to study under, was to get that information to where you knew it. Not like memorized it, knew it, to where it made the distance from your head to your heart. I'm going to study this sage. I'm going to study this rabbi. I'm going to see the way he looks at the world. I'm going to watch what he does, and he's going to point out to me how these scriptures actually apply to my life. Jesus is saying, hey, if you follow me, if you do what I tell you to do, if you listen to my word, if you stick with this, you're going to experience truth. You're going to experience truth the same way that you experience walking into this room and seeing the chairs and knowing you can't walk through them. Right? You'll experience it. I will enlighten you on how I created everything. And then when you know that, you're going to choose truth. We'll choose it. Which would you choose? Would you choose truth or lie? Given the option, would you choose truth in your life, functional truth that you can do something with, that you can use to your benefit, or lies that just muddy the waters and make things incredibly complicated? Which would you choose? We would choose truth. We would choose truth. And so how does that apply to us today? What is that? Where does that go? Because I just referenced an issue that I'm telling you I don't know the answer to. How do you work that out in your life? Jesus says, if you follow my word, if you listen to my word. Do you know what he's referring to? Do you guys know what theologians call this book? Theologians call this book special revelation. They call this special revelation. It's where God, more than just create the world and the laws and all the things that go into it and create you and me, more than just that, he stopped and he said, let me tell you something. Let me talk to you. Special revelation. So Jesus is talking to us through this book. Now, if you're not overwhelmed, like look at this. This is my little book. I got another one. Like my study Bible is like 3 times this big, right? That's intimidating. It's especially intimidating for us because we didn't spend the first 13 years of our lives memorizing Scripture, right? And we got Google, but so Jesus made it simple. I think he knew that we would be in the information age eventually, and we would need we need to be able to have a quick pointer. If you go to the book of Matthew, chapter 22, they asked him, what's the greatest commandment? What if you could sum it all down to just one thing, if you could make it simple for us, what would you say? If there was one thing you could say, what would you say? He says, the greatest commandment, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. This is the greatest and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these 2 commandments, all of the law and the prophets hang. This is all of the law. Okay. Everything that they had at that period of time was all of the law and the prophets. It all rests on what? Love God. Love people. Love God. Well, Matt, I don't think you realize some of the things that I've gone through in my life. In the secret parts of our hearts, sometimes we say that, don't we? We in our minds, we know, we're supposed to love God. But then we've got that loss. We've got that addiction. We got that shame. We got that thing we did that one time that we don't tell anybody about, right? And we think to ourselves, God, I don't know why you made me this way. I don't know that I can love you because it feels like you set me up for failure. It feels like this is all a mess, and I can't deal with the pain, and I can't deal with any of this. God, I'm so lost. God, I don't know what to do. Why did you make the world this way? And he doesn't answer that question, guys. You know, I think, this is just my theory, I think he doesn't answer that question because it's so incredibly broken and so individual to every individual person that he would fill up all the books in all of the world with that. You know what he does instead? He comes into it. He became a man. He walked through everything that we could think of enduring in his life. He died on a cross. He fixed the relationship, and he did it for you. He didn't have to leave heaven. He didn't have to leave. He chose to. And see, that is where you go to fall in love with Jesus. That is where you go to fall in love with God. You realize that, no, he doesn't answer that question. Yes, he will answer that question if you seek him. Yes, eventually, it will be made known to you. Scriptures say that when he comes back, every tear will be wiped away. He's going to make it make sense. But for right now, it's enough for us to know that he went through it himself. He came here for us. And he says, okay, I'm glad you love me. Some of you are like, you're loving God. You're loving him to pieces. He says, thank you. I'm glad you love me. Listen. Love my people. They're my people. I love them just as much as I love you. love them. Like, oh, no, God, I don't know about that. Do you know what they did to me? Do you know how they hurt me? You know how they betrayed me? Yeah, my life wouldn't look the way that it does if it wasn't for that person who did that thing. And God's like, no. Do you know what they did to me? I still love them. I choose them. Can we? And he says, if you do these things, listen, if you do these things, if you walk in this, if you love him, love people, then you're going to experience his truth. You're going to experience his truth, and that truth will set you free. Can you imagine if all of a sudden you realized that everything that you've ever been through and everything that has happened to you has been for a purpose, and that God was doing something mighty and amazing in your life? And all of a sudden, your heart changes. And it says, you know what, God, you knew what you were doing all through this. I think you know what you're doing going forward. I want whatever it is that you got planned for me. And we align ourselves with the God of creation, the God that spins galaxies, puts suns and stars in the sky. If we align ourselves to what it is that he's doing, guys, do you think there's anything that could stop us? No. If we're doing what it is that he's doing, guys, promise, we would be absolutely and completely free. There would be no limitation. We would be free. And guys, I want to be free today. I think the band can come up. I want to be free today. I want to be free. I want to be completely free. But that means that I have to surrender myself. See, that's counterintuitive, right? But we have to surrender. We have to surrender ourselves. Guys, but you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. You have a God that loves you, that is here specifically for you. He is infinite. He is infinite. You know what if you divide infinity by infinity, what do you get? Anybody know what you get when you divide infinity by infinity? Infinity. That means all of him is available for you. All of him. You just have to come to him. You just have to come to him. And so I'm going to let the band play, and I'm going to open these altars. You can stay in your seat or you can come to the altar. But if you want to be free, you got to let him know. Like, God, I want you. And whether you're right there at that point where you've got so much going on that you don't know whether or not you can love him or not, you come up here and tell him. Come up here and let us pray for you. And if you're at that point where you're holding so much bitterness and anger towards other people that is keeping you from wanting to even engage in his church and in what he's doing in this world, you're missing out. Come up here. Let us pray for you. Come up here and let us pray for you. Because he wants you to be free. Listen, he wants you to be free. Whole world wide open.